Have you ever felt nervous at the beginning of a pitch or a presentation? Dry mouth, sweaty palms, heart racing. The first couple of minutes of any pitch and presentation are the most difficult, but also the most important. The research suggests it takes about 7 seconds to make a first impression. Add to that the fact that the audience is completely distracted with all sorts of things like mobile phones, emails, other people sitting next to them, and we need to be able to cut through the noise and grab their attention. I'd like to share with you a simple formula to help you make an impactful first impression so that you get your audience sitting on the edge of their seats. I've spent the last 10 years coaching thousands of people from every industry imaginable to help them be more confident, increase their influence, and know what to say under pressure. I've also been lucky enough to speak on stage in front of audiences of thousands of people, so I know this formula works. Let's look at what not to do, and then I'll walk you through the perfect opening step by step. We've all been in the audience of a pitch or a presentation, a conference or a meeting, and sat there and listened to someone say something along the lines of, "Good morning, everybody. It's lovely to be here. There are quite a few things that we need to talk about." And what's happening to your brain is that you are completely switching off. No one cares about the agenda. No one cares about the fire exits. People just want to know what it is that you have to offer. And if we don't grab our audience's attention, then they're instantly distracted. They're reaching for their mobile phone. They're on social media. They're checking their emails. We've got to grab people from the outset. The first thing you should do is start with a surprise. Now, I'm not talking about pulling a rabbit out of a hat, but I am talking about doing something that is different from the status quo. How can you make people lean in? How do you make people understand that you've actually started? We don't want to warm up. We don't want to glide in. We want people to know that we've begun and that they should be listening. Now, there are lots of ways that you can do this. You could start with a statistic. You could use a fact. You could show an image. You could show a video. You could tell a joke if you're good at telling jokes. But what we want to do is let our audience know that we've begun. Once we've got their attention, we need to answer the biggest question that's going on in your audience's mind, and that is, what's in it for me? People want to understand how what you're talking about relates to them and their situation. In a pitch situation, they want to understand whether it's good enough to invest in. In a meeting situation, they want to know whether the topic that you're talking about has anything to do with their day job or not. So we've got to answer that question early on so that people know whether or not to listen. We need to tell them the takeaways. Once you've got their attention and you've told them the takeaways, then and only then should you articulate your authority. That's the moment where you've earned the right to tell them who you are. Right at the beginning of a pitch or presentation is not the time to be talking about yourself. That's the time to be making sure that the audience is engaged, they're listening, and they understand why the topic that you're talking about is important. But once you've got them hooked and sitting in the palm of your hand, then they need to know why you're the right person to be talking about this. Articulating your authority isn't about blowing your own trumpet or telling people how wonderful you are. It's about helping them understand why you're the right person to be talking about this particular topic or pitching this particular idea. So we need to give them background. We can talk about our accomplishments, we can talk about our education, or we can borrow authority from someone else. You could say, Bob's asked me to talk about this today. You could say, we've conducted research with 75,000 people and I'm here to present the results. Why are you the right person to be talking on this topic? So we start with a surprise, we tell them the takeaways, we articulate our authority, and then we reveal the roadmap. This is the moment where the agenda can start to come in. This is where you can start to signpost how things are going to work. This is where you can start to describe to the audience what the rules of the game are, whether you want interaction, whether you're going to ask them for questions later, whether there is a pack that they need to be flicking through at the same time, or whether the information is going to appear on the screen behind you. This is the moment to get those kind of nuts and bolts things out of the way. Not right at the beginning, actually right at the end of the introduction. I use this star opening for pretty much every presentation that I give. It's a really invisible formula. In fact, if you rewind this video and watch from the beginning, I used it here. So it shows, if you're still watching, that it absolutely works. It captures people's attention and leaves them wanting more. Start with a surprise, tell them the takeaways, articulate your authority, and reveal your roadmap. It's a seamless, hidden formula for starting any pitch or presentation. And the great thing is. It can be one sentence for each or 3 or 4 minutes for each of those sections. So it's a really flexible way of making that powerful first impression. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out my Why Life's a Pitch podcast, where I interview an amazing guest each week and find out how they pitch their way to success. I'll see you in the next video.